All right, well, thank you all. Great to be here. My name's Steve Murtos, and I'm with iSpot. And just a quick little overview of what iSpot is for those of you that don't know. We are a leading ad measurement platform, and we have an ad catalog with over 2 million ads, and the only partner that can provide full funnel measurement from creative assessment through to cross-platform measurement and business outcome attribution. And many large brand advertisers are using our service today. So thanks again for having us. Liz, welcome back to the stage.
Thank you.
For your second time. Let's start by having you just sort of provide everyone with an overview of your role at IHG.
Sure, yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I lead our integrated marketing function and team, and basically we work across all 19 of our stay brands to our master brand, which is IHG Hotels and Resorts, promoting our loyalty program, as well as just making sure that our hotels show up at the right time, at the right place, whenever you're looking to book a hotel or a vacation.
So 19 brands,
yes,
plus 2 additional brands,
yes,
so 21 total. A little different than some of the other companies that have been here, even though they've had multiple brands. You've got 21
yes,
that you're managing. You also have 6,000 global locations. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Everywhere around the world and around the corner.
So tell us a little bit about sort of the transformation with IHG and sort of how you came to the current structure with the organization and the name and sort of that journey.
Yeah, I think historically you've seen a lot more in the past of IHG promoting our individual brands like Holiday Inn Express or Intercontinental or Kimpton or any of your other beloved brands that you stay at. IHG has always been the parent company, but we continue to recognize that we wanted to elevate our master brand because we have such great stay brands and experiences, and then I'll talk about the loyalty program in a minute. But we've kind of gone through some name changes and evolution over time. We used to be Six Continents, and then we were Intercontinental Hotels Group, and there was a little bit of confusion even, I think, between Intercontinental Hotels Group as the corporate brand versus Intercontinental, the stay brand, and then how Holiday Inn Express fit into that. And so we saw a real opportunity to simplify and really elevate our brand, and so that's where we rebranded IHG Hotels and Resorts during the pandemic. What a great time to rebrand, right? But it was the right time for us to transform because our business was transforming and it was so disruptive. And we've seen a lot of great momentum with even just creating some of that awareness now of our master brand. We are trying to also understand how to resonate with a younger audience, and as we're looking at like our next gen and the growth of that audience and that community, it's a great time for us to kind of reemerge as a great place to stay when you're thinking about your travel.
And so some of that innovation that you're tackling is the loyalty program, which is IHG One Rewards. That's newly branded.
Yes,
right?
You got that right. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how that is manifesting itself in your marketing and advertising approach, and sort of that messaging to the younger audience and how that all ties together.
Yeah. I mean, our loyalty program has been around also for a while in various names, but we have a really strong base and a strong foundation. But it was an opportunity for us to really listen and understand what our guests want now and think about the benefits and the experiences. So we came out with a new reimagined loyalty program that gives you more choices. It's choices of how you earn and redeem for the value proposition, if you will, of you're choosing to stay with us. You want to have choices of where you would use your points. And so it's everything from creating great experiences like with Lollapalooza or US Open, as well as how you choose your choice benefit when you're staying on a property. And so you're going to have a different need for every travel occasion, and you're going to want to use your loyalty points differently. And so we wanted to really bring that to life in a new way, in a more relevant way. But at the end of the day, it's not about a brand. It's not about a loyalty program. It's about our guests and our customers. because our brand is hospitality, making people feel seen and making sure that they belong and they feel like they're getting a great experience when they're traveling. And that's what our loyalty program was designed to do, is to really deliver on those experiences.
You mentioned experiences like Lollapalooza, for example. So how does that work into the loyalty program as an example?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, these great tentpole moments that people want to be at, whether it's Lollapalooza or, you know, U.S. Open or anything else, is the opportunity for you to, you know, redeem your points for those great experiences, as well as for us just to be there and be part of the culture and creating some great, like, VIP exclusive experience and special
kind of
access.
thing.
Yeah. That you wouldn't otherwise get. It's those things that experience matter more than things these days, and those are the ones that we want to deliver on.
Yeah. So IHG has many great beloved brands for many years that all of us are familiar with, and your creative is very powerful. So we've got a couple spots lined up here to show. So if we could cue the first two that we have lined
Yes.
up for us.
I turn it up another notch. I rock it out and make it hot. I spike the punch, make it pop. Don't stop. Living my best life. Living my best life. Do what I feel like. Living my best life.
Introducing IHG One Rewards. 18 hotel brands, 6,000 global destinations, one loyalty program that lets you guest how you guest.
I turn it up another notch. I rock it out and make it hot. I spike the punch, make it pop. Don't stop.
With IHG One Rewards, you enjoy hotel perks like suite upgrades, early check-in and late check-out, so you can extra how you extra. New IHG One Rewards, 18 hotel brands, 6,000 global destinations, one loyalty program that lets you guest how you guest.
High energy.
Yes.
I love those.
Hopefully that woke you up this afternoon. Okay. Nice.
So talk a little bit about how you go to market with, you've got the master brand and then you've got the individual brands, and sort of how that all comes together with your ads.
Yeah, as you saw with Guest How You Guest, I mean, first of all, the message is all about you are, you know, have inclusivity with every brand that we have and every version of yourself, because you're going to have a different experience when you're traveling with your family versus when you're traveling for work or a conference like this versus when you're taking that bucket list worthy vacation. And we want to highlight that you can be obviously our guest in any of those experiences and how our brands are brought to life. The two spots and the differences that you saw just there was, one was specifically for a premium audience, so you would see that it was very intentional of the brands and the experiences that we showed. There's about 20 other versions of that that may show a Holiday Inn or Holiday Inn Express experience to families, and so we're trying to be very relevant and thoughtful as we're targeting and tailoring that. And then the second spot was actually for a UK audience, so it was slightly different because they're looking for slightly different experiences. We also have to think about legal. You saw a nice little legal claim. So you have to think about, like, there's so much complexity in the number of brands, the number of markets, and how we show up in a relevant and really unique way. But at the end of the day, it's about our stay brands and the experiences that you can have. I think for us, this is a great way to kind of highlight that. And then one last thing I'll say about this particular campaign, which I personally love and see, as it continues to grow and we continue to build the foundation for it, it also lives our brand purpose. Last week in Atlanta, we had the Pride Parade, and so it was Pride How You Pride and Love How You Love. And so you can see how we're really showcasing that we are very inclusive of everybody who wants to stay at our hotels.
Do you use focus groups or test those messages in advance? And
Yeah.
How has that been received?
Yeah, so as we look at, we certainly want to make sure at the end of the day, our effectiveness is really critical to what a guest thinks, and ultimately what you feel. It has to make you feel something. And so for us, we've gotten a lot of great momentum. I think at first people were like, what does guest, how you guest mean? And what does that exactly say? Well, we wanted it to be a little bit disruptive. We also wanted it to be different than most hotel ads that you've seen in the past. So you kind of take a second look and break through. And then the music was very intentional too, because as with everything, we're on our computers, we're watching TV, we're yelling at our kids to clean their room or whatever else we're doing. And like that music can also kind of help break through and get you to pay attention.
Yeah. Let's cue the next ad. We've got a couple more here, but let's do the third one.
I think this is a sizzle reel more than an ad,
Oh,
but that's okay.
New IHG One Rewards, 18 hotel brands, one loyalty program that lets you guest how you guest.
So that reinforces the magnitude of what you guys are trying to do. I'm from Chicago, so I love seeing Chicago featured prominently there. But talk a little bit about that.
Well, just like our hotels are 24/7, it feels like we're working 24/7, but it is a lot of work, but a lot of complexity. But we have some amazing teams around the world that really bring this to life in each market. But we were very intentional of making sure that we had flexibility in the campaign and the way that our messages come to life, so that each team can co-create and really have some localization that is very specific to what their needs are. And there may be different brand needs, there may be different market needs, and we are absolutely continuing to be agile in the way that we're bringing to life not only this campaign, but multiple campaigns. And for us, again, I think this is a great way to think differently about IHG and start to continue to help with some brand awareness with certain audiences that probably don't know us. The good thing is once you know us, you love us, I think, right? But as those who may know our brands but not know who IHG is, this is a great way to continue to tie all of those together.
Or how they're all connected.
That they're all connected. Yeah. The last thing I was going to say, just on this particular, you've seen very intentionally that it's not just TV, that it's some disruptive out of home, and a lot of other great integrated placements.
Yeah. Well, a good segue to this last ad, which I love this story. So let's show this one, and then you can tell us a little bit about this.
Why do we travel? To see? To eat? Or is it deeper? To feel something? Something that can only be experienced in one small, specific place. The neighborhood. It's where life comes alive, art thrives, and where those who are looking to be moved stay. Which is why it's always where you'll find a Hotel Indigo. From the streets of Tokyo to the sights of Dubai. Not just in the neighborhood, but of the neighborhood. So don't just visit a place, live it, dive into it, get caught up in it, then find calm in it. Hotel Indigo, the world's neighborhood hotel.
A part of IHG Hotels and Resorts.
So much passion for Hotel Indigo. We were talking about the one here in New York on the Lower East Side. So talk about this campaign and sort of how that connects.
Well, as we talked about, like how we go to market across all of our brands, there's also the opportunity of how we think about our individual brands and the stories and the experiences that you can get with those brands. I love hotel. I mean, I love all of our brands, but Hotel Indigo is so special because that whole experience is built in the neighborhood. You know, there are a lot of the brands and other brands that will come in and they're cookie cutter and there's consistency and those things are important. But for Hotel Indigo, it was really about taking what's special of the neighborhood and building an experience around it. And so, has anybody ever been to the Lower East Side Hotel Indigo? Mr. Purple, one of the best bars in town. There you go. That particular hotel was built around the art and just the local community of Lower East Side. And it was an older building that was renovated to be a Hotel Indigo, and it tells the story of the neighborhood. And Mr. Purple was one of the artists that lived in the neighborhood and created graffiti, and it was one of those, like, we're telling his story more than we're telling the hotel story. And you find that across every single Hotel Indigo, no matter where you go. It could be in an old post office that was renovated, and they tell the story of that post office that went back to the 1800s. To Tokyo is all about like the Tokyo neighborhood and the experience of Shibuya. I can never say that right. Shibuya Square, and the music and the culture and the food. And so it's everything from the F&B experience to the room design to the stories of the general managers know what is going on in those neighborhoods, and they are like the advocates for those neighborhoods. And so as we were looking at how do we tell the story, the World's Neighborhood Hotel really kind of helped bring that to life. And thanks to our partners at Stagwell and Anomaly too, they really helped like solidify that it's like that juxtaposition of it's a worldly brand. We have over 100 hotels and growing around the world, but it also feels like the only one when you go and experience it. So
Well, yeah, and it becomes part of that experience for you when you're traveling, and that people get excited to be able to be at that location and have that as part of the experience.
yeah.
And it isn't something you think of with the big national hotel chains, right? When you think of some of your competitors or you guys, like, you don't think of that type of environment necessarily, which I think is unique.
Yeah.
So let's shift a little bit. You talked before about the different sort of platforms or channels that you're using, from TV to out of home to digital. How do you kind of navigate that and manage that across this campaign that you're using?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at any integrated campaign, we think the holistic experience. I mean, whether you call it full funnel but it's really just how you bring to life across all the channels, and ultimately it's going to drive the bottom line in our business. Everything has to be tied to a very specific intentional business priority for us. But as we're looking at brand awareness, it has to drive performance, and performance has to drive brand awareness. Obviously this is a challenge that we all face of like, how do you balance the opportunity to think about your media mix that way. But it's really important for us to be able to ensure that we are disruptive in those moments that will help you have those non-skippable tentpole moments, whether you're walking through the airport or riding the subway or continuing to watch us on college football. If anybody's seen college football this weekend, you probably saw us. To how are we driving down to programmatic, lower funnel, ensuring that when you're searching for a hotel in New York, Hotel Indigo or Kimpton or any of our other hotels are showing up when you're looking for those very specific experiences. And so as we think about our campaigns and our integrated approach, it has to have the balance of all of that.
And so how are you measuring awareness versus performance? What metrics do you look at for that?
I mean, it's the typical brand health, and certainly understanding like how we're continuing to make sure that we have increases in awareness within general audiences, but also within very targeted audiences. Because as you think about like the next gen community, I won't even call them a segment, it's like a community. You want to make sure that you're driving relevancy as well as awareness. So it's really important there. But as we're looking, lower funnel's easier because you can always make sure that you're managing the ROI. But I think that the lower funnel, creating brand awareness, is also critical. So when we're looking at our metrics, it has to be a holistic approach, from brand health to down to every single placement that we have in our media effectiveness.
What kind of emerging or newer platforms and channels are you seeing that you're excited about or you're thinking about testing? Anything on that?
Has anybody heard of Gen AI this week? I'm just kidding. It seems like the buzzword right now, but it is absolutely one of those. I think we're all going to just try to figure out, how do you harness it to be able to create efficiency and create the opportunity for personalization at scale. And by the way, it's 19 brands, not 18, but we launched one just recently, that's why. But 19 brands and all these different languages, and you think about how we go to market every day, like the complexity from even our trigger emails, right? You just earned gold status or you just earned platinum status, and being able to be relevant in the moment. I think that, Gen AI is going to play a huge opportunity for us to work through that. Now, is it just become the next tool in your toolkit? I think that's part of too how we are working as with every other company of what's next.
So back to the personalization comment, what kind of challenges are you seeing with that in terms of being able to leverage that effectively? And right, like you're saying all the right things in terms of how you want to reach your consumers, but the ways that you go about that are so complicated. So how do you navigate?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's still trying to figure it out. I think it's probably the easy answer. It's like we don't have any, magical approach that is like the ultimate, view of personalization. But you have to actually balance personalization versus relevancy. Personalization, because we have member information on you and we know how you stay with us, what level you're at, and how do we give you the right offer. Versus relevancy is you may be looking for something totally different right now on your phones versus where you stayed last week. And so how we can create relevancy based on search trends versus I know you, on a one-to-one level. And I think that, we still have to balance the making sure we're not tone deaf. If there's something that we're giving you that's personal, but it's actually not necessarily the right time to give you that information, or it seems like we just are hanging on to one piece of data that maybe your search is from 2 weeks ago, right? And so I think that those are some of the things from a personalization and relevancy. We're constantly trying to just test and learn, and we haven't figured it out like anybody else, but we're working through it, and I think it's going to be a critical part.
How important is your customer database you talked about in all of this, and
Yeah.
the amount of data that you have and how you leverage that, and how important that is to this?
Yeah, it's critically important, especially as you are thinking about loyalty and your expectations that we know you when you come into our hotels. Like, I was talking to someone earlier that was staying at the Kimpton and had a great connection with someone at the bar, and this is our agency partner too, Missy. She was saying she had a great experience with someone at the bar at the Kimpton, that she stays like 200 plus days a year at that Kimpton. Well, we should know, especially if there's somebody new at the counter that just started last week, they know who you are. Mm-hmm. It's like Norm from Cheers. It's like, hey, welcome back. We know you. You got your drink at the bar, or you're going to go to the room. You got all of the things that create those personalized experiences. And so data is critically important to have at the fingertips of our hotels so that they can deliver on great guest experiences. And then above property, it's important for us to be able to know you, be able to, react to any customer service issues, as well as just how we market to you. I think the balance, though, is that we have to also listen and not just look at the data, so we can be data inspired, but customer led. And that's truly what we have to do every day.
Yeah, like part of the family.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like a relationship with anyone. Like if you are newly in a relationship with someone and they just signed up with, your loyalty program, and it's like the first time they've stayed with you, it's like this value exchange of like, I want to know you, you want to know me, and let's get to understand exactly what the expectations that you have for wanting to join the program, to that person who stays 200 plus days a year, and we know their birthday and their favorite drink.
Value exchange.
Value exchange.
So I've got more questions here, but I think we've got 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to maybe just open it up. If there's a couple questions, we can have people answer them. I see a hand up over here.
You spoke about experiential investments or partnerships, and you referenced U.S. Open. I know you guys were up on screen before the Taylor Swift movie in cinemas this weekend. Could you talk a little bit about the decision-making process behind investments in the cultural zeitgeist?
Yeah, it's a great question, and thank you for helping us through, as we are looking at, the opportunity to have those disruptive, non-skippable moments where you can sit in a cinema and watch the Hotel Indigo spot, which is actually a 60-second film spot, which is perfect for in cinema as well. It was already part of our media mix, but then of course Taylor announced her movie, and I'm like, yes, we will get in on that. And it just helps us not only with that audience, but it's a very passionate, advocate or audience that advocates for the brands that are part of that entire experience. And so we want to be part of that conversation. So that's really critical for us as we're starting to look at where we show up, how we show up, and which brands we actually promote at that time. And then, as we're looking across other audiences, we have to make sure that we're also being very relevant and timely with the message. So.
I think we have time for one more question.
With someone who has so much rich first-party data, are you considering dipping your toes into the retail media space? Into retail media, so a non-AI question, I know.
I mean, we're always, looking at what the next best space would be for us. I think in general, we have to figure out what's going to be right for our business and how we can deliver against it. So a lot of what we're doing is continuing to test and learn and try to understand where the market's going. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.